Hi guys, it's me, Lauren Gill, and welcome to the channel. Super excited about this video. It's a very, well, relatively shorter video. Just going over the new Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. So the majority of my face is done. My eyebrows, I am going to tell you, they're not completely filled in. I just kind of threw a little bit of my brow pencil in so I didn't look like a mad woman, because usually I save my brows for last because I hate doing my brows. So yeah, those are the only thing that aren't really done. And then my face needs blush, bronzer, and highlight on it. So I figured what better than to play with this palette today. Like, subscribe, and follow all those fun things down below. I would greatly appreciate it since you're already here. And yeah, I think that's about it. So let's just kind of dive right on in. So I kind of threw my hair back because I don't want it in my face when I'm doing this. So if you don't know, the ambient lighting palettes from Hourglass, they come out with new ones every holiday. These are a big deal. Everyone craves them. Everyone raves about them. And this is the first year that I've picked one up since probably like 2019. And I'm really excited about this one because I do feel like every shade in here is going to match my skin tone or work for my skin tone, which makes it even more exciting. Because this is for like fair to light skin tones. So obviously with it being a face palette, they're going to try to include shades for lighter skin or deeper skin tones than mine. But this is the best one I've seen as far as reviews go for fair skin in the last couple years. So I'm super excited. This does retail for $90. Now I did not pay $90. I had leftover points. I had about $67 worth of points left over. And usually the trick is to buy all your replacements and stuff during the like point multiplier events during the year, and that's how you rack up so many points. I essentially paid like $24 for this palette, so it's a win for me and in my book. But anyways, let me dive into the palette. Let me get it out of the packaging and show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is the packaging. There is this film on it. ASMR. And then the box matches the packaging on the inside. Now, I don't care about the dragon. It's not my favorite packaging, and I wish that you could customize it like you could previous years, because there's the 3 different palettes. There's, you know, fair to light, medium to tan, and then like deep or dark to deep or whatever. However they break it up. So I wish that like all the previous years you could have customized the packaging, because I definitely preferred the packaging of the other 2 palettes in the line, and I'll try and put pictures for you as reference, but this is the lightest shade. This is the Lighting Edit Unlocked Dragon palette, and there are 2 finishing powders, 2 blushes, a bronzer, and a highlighter. So let me open it up for you. I'm so excited. And just for reference, this is about as big as my hand. So a lot of people were complaining about the fact that this doesn't set up. I could care less. I'm going to try not to blind you. This is the palette. I turned down my lighting just so you can kind of see. Very, very fair. And I'm super excited because this is the first time that I feel like the highlighter and the 2 powders actually work for my skin. So I believe this is shade 1, which is a Dreamlight finishing powder. Then you have a Peach Fusion. Then we have the Divine Light finishing powder. We've got the blush in Mauve Haze, the bronzer in Soft Bronzer, and then the highlighter in Sunlit Strobe Light. I literally thought it said slunt because I can't read upside down, and I was like, how do I want to do this? So I feel like my skin's a little bit more yellow than I prefer, because I didn't go in with my Fenty powder, which is the lavender powder for brightening. I actually used this one size powder because I'm trying to use it up and just kind of make room in my collection. So with that, I figured what better than to try out these like brightening powders. And I'm super excited about this palette because the Glowish powder is actually supposed to be somewhat of a dupe for the finishing powders from Hourglass. A lot of people said this was a really nice dupe, but you can't get this anymore. And as I use this up, like, I really love this powder for brightening the face, adding a little bit of glow. So I'm super excited to use these powders for that intended purpose. So let me use a brush, and we're going to go into, let me try this shade first. The only thing I'm nervous about is fitting my brush into the pan without touching the others. The one thing about these lighting powders is they're very soft. So what I'm gonna do is just run it all over my face. Just adds a little bit of glow. Okay, so I found a little bit more of a precise powder brush because I really want to just brighten up my face and see if I can kind of take away from some of the yellow that I feel like is peeking through of my skin. Because I feel like the One Size powder, I love the formula. I just need them to come out with a little bit more fair complected friendly shade. Because the shade that they have, the translucent, is not that translucent for fair skin. So, I did set my face with the One Size powder. Like I said, I always do that. And then this powder I knew I was going to try and use for like the glow. It's like a baked powder almost. So not a lot picks up on the brush. But whatever you do pick up dispenses on the face very, very nicely. And the only sad thing is I feel like in this palette, I'm going to go through these powders relatively fast compared to the other stuff. So I'm going to get up close and personal. Here's how we look. I know on camera you can't tell that the yellow tones have kind of been offset a little bit. I will say a little bit of this powder, there's a little texture on my nose. I also want to try this powder out under my eyes, but I want to take this little bit lighter shade for under my eyes and just see what happens. Because I do feel like my under eyes are a little bit more yellow because again, I used the One Size powder under my eye thinking it would work. And turns out I should have known better. Oh yeah, this definitely brightens, which is saying something for fair skin. I'm going to take it right down my nose a little bit. And then I'm just going to take it right above my eyebrow. Just cause. Why not? And I will say this does have both of these powders have a little bit of sheen to them, which I actually find so flattering under the eye. So far, I really like those powders. And it's so funny because I feel like 5 years ago, I hated the palette. Not this one, obviously, but like a different version of this. Because I felt like the powders didn't do anything. The bronzer was too dark. The blushes weren't doing anything. But because preferences change, it's interesting to see me liking it, you know? So let me do bronzer now. So I'm going to go in with obviously the bronzing shade. And I'm going to kind of pinch my brush since these are a bit smaller pans. And just see some picked up. But I want to see like how all this blends. Now obviously I do have like a cream bronzer and blush underneath. So I know that like some of that's showing through as well. But I always do that, so I don't mind. I'm just curious to see how neutral this really is for my skin. And it looks like it's turning out really, really pretty. Also, side note, there's a part of me that thinks I should turn around my camera and face the window and just embrace the natural light. It's just, I don't know. There's also a part of me that's like, we're not moving for another couple months and I kind of miss having my bookshelf. So I kind of want to put that back. But I feel like that's stupid because, you know, I'm not going to be here but for a couple more months. I don't know. Are you guys okay with how this is looking? Because I tried to do the window back there so that there's at least something in the background, but I don't like it because then I feel like my lighting is off. And if you film with your phone, I feel like the phone lighting is so finicky. And like, yes, I have a ring light and everything, but sometimes it's just not enough, you know? So anyways, just some thoughts while I'm doing my face, but I really like the bronzer. I can already tell it does lean a little bit warmer than what I go for with bronzer, but I actually really like that. And honestly, like all of these have a bit of a sheen to them. It's so beautiful. It's not crazy. And I can just tell that I'm liking this so much. And it's so crazy because again, 4 or 5 years ago, I hated the palette that I had. Let me do highlighter real quick. I always do my highlighter before my blush. So that's not really anything different for me. So I'm going to go in with the highlighter. And I am a little nervous because out of all of the products in here, this does seem like it will be the darkest. So I'm interested to see if it's going to cause any kind of like shadow cast on my face. Okay, that's a little gold, but it's not bad. It is very pretty though. And I feel like once I put the blush on top, you're not even going to be able to tell, but that's also part of the reason why I do my highlighter first. I'm going to put a little up here. I love a little highlight on the Cupid's bow. And then whatever's left over, I'll do on my chin. That is so freaking pretty. Ugh, now I see why people love Hourglass powders. And I'm one of them now. Oh no. Also, update, I've been using the e.l.f. O Face Lip Balm, the Shimmer Balm. I have the lighter shade, and I really like it. It's a good little go-to for me. So now, last but not least, we're going to do the blushes, which arguably I'm probably the most excited for. For my bronzy, smoky look today, obviously, I'm probably going to play with this one, but I'll at least swatch the other one. And I will say, a brush this size fits perfectly in here, which I prefer an angled brush for my cheek and my shape. Ooh, this is pretty. There's so much glow on my cheek and I'm obsessed. You know what's funny? This always happens, but I always get into trends way too late, and I think it's partially because I do so much research. I'm now really into the glowy makeup, and it's literally going away. Like, brands are coming out with full coverage products now, and I'm like, no. Like, I'm a few good years too late, because I feel like the glowy makeup really started happening back in like 2020, because it started with like the no makeup look, because everyone was at home. So here I am, 2024, the end of 2024, falling in love with the glowy makeup. But it's okay. It's fine. It happens all the time. This blush is a little bit warmer than it looks in the pan. And I'm not mad about it. It's very beautiful because I'm not the biggest fan of super like cool toned mauvey blushes. So I love that this does have a little bit of warmth to it, which makes me so excited for this shade. This definitely has a different texture than this. This is a very soft, very, very soft texture. This is very dry. Like, I don't know about that, but it is this like soft peachy shade. It's a very glowy girl. But I love an orange blush. Okay, that just made me so excited. I love this palette. Anyways, I'm gonna go back in with just a little bit more of the little, it's not that it's too much deeper. This one's just like, they're the same tone almost. This one's just a little bit more of like a brightening reflect to it. So when I say I'm gonna go in with the darker shade, it's not that it's actually that much darker. Does make me wonder if this really is gonna work on anyone that is deeper than me. So I will say, I can already tell for someone who's got any kind of pigment to their skin, because we all know, as I say it with me, pale as hell. I don't think this palette's gonna work for anyone that's not paper white. And I mean that with all my sincerity, because this is so, it works like too well for my skin. You know what I'm saying? So if you're any shade darker than me, it's not gonna work for you. So in that case, get the second to lightest palette, the middle palette, I would say, unless you think that one's gonna be too deep. But then I feel bad because it's like, do you really want to spend the money on two of them? Because at that point, just get shades that are going to work for you and the individuals. So I'm going to do some quick math before I finish off my face, but just so you know, this is a $90 palette and the value of it is technically $180, because these are all the size of the mini Hourglass products, and each of the minis are like $30, give or take $1 or $2. So essentially you're buying 3 and getting 3 free. Why did I do that? And that's where the value comes in. So if you don't think you're going to use all of the shades in here, it's not worth the value. So at that point, you might as well just spend the money to get what works for you. This alone, like if I did not have points, I would not have bought it. But I really, really, really was intrigued by this. And these are limited edition, so you're not going to be able to get it once they, don't put it back out. And that's not to say if it goes out of stock, they're not going to restock it. Because sometimes brands do that. I don't know that for sure. But I will say I'm so happy to have this now. The other thing I want to point out real quick before I wrap up is that the finishing powders in here are so much more lightweight than this. Because this is a pressed powder. This is more of like I think it's a baked powder. I mean, it's a raised pan, so I am assuming it's a baked powder. Baked powders are always a little bit more sheer, a little bit more soft. I love the finish of this on the face more than this. Like, I get how people say this is a dupe because it does give the glowy radiance and it's very soft on the skin. And it's beautiful. And don't get me wrong, if I wanted the effect, I wouldn't spend $60 on a regular sized Hourglass powder. I would just buy this, but since I can't get this anymore, I'm not afraid to spend $60 on a good powder. I don't know. I'm kind of all over the place, but the moral of the story is I really like this palette. And for $90, even though I didn't spend the $90 on it, it's very, very, very beautiful. Let me finish my face, then I'll come back and wrap up, because I know that this was going to be a relatively short video because the last couple have been so long. So let me do that real quick. I feel like this video is insanely dark and I completely apologize. But I'm done with my face. I did my eyebrows. They're finished. They're filled in all the way. And I put this e.l.f. lip stain on my lips in Pinkies Up. So to wrap up my thoughts on this, if it wasn't already clear, I definitely really enjoyed this. I had so much fun putting it on. All these shades are beautiful for fair skin. If you're anything deeper than me, I don't know if this is going to work for you. So that's the only thing I'd watch out for. If you can see this in store, I definitely would recommend looking at all the different palettes first and then making your decision, because $90 is an investment. Now, I did not pay the $90 for this, but in hindsight, if I had a very minimal collection and say I only had like one product of each in each category and I wanted to splurge on myself, I wouldn't have hated paying $90 for this. But considering I have like 7 powders that I'm trying to work through and like 5 different powder blushes and stuff, like this is definitely a luxury item. And I'm so happy that I was able to get it for essentially like $25 instead of the full $90 with points. So shout out to Ulta for having an amazing point system. I know that they're like not the best store to work for and all of that, but the point system's really nice. Because you can get luxury items like this for a fraction of the price because of saving your points. I really loved this. This is obviously the only shade I didn't use, but we swatched it and I know I'm gonna love it. I think there's a lot of misguidance on the Hourglass blushes or the Hourglass formulas in general, because yes, they are a little bit glowy. They do have that radiance to them. It's not glow. Well, it's glowy because it's radiant, but it's not glittery. It's not just oily, shiny. It's like your skin on its healthiest day, essentially, is what the Hourglass products do for you, because they offer a glassy finish to the skin, essentially. So I definitely recommend the blushes first because they tend to be glowy. So it kind of gives you the best idea of like how Hourglass products are going to work on your skin. Because if you don't like glow, you're probably not going to like it. But then again, I used to hate glow and now I absolutely love it. Because even though I'm 25, I'm telling you right now, my skin doesn't glow like it used to at 20 years old. It's only going to get worse from here, right? And I'm very aware of that. And I say that here on the channel frequently. 1, to bring it to reality for myself and just come to terms with it. But 2, because it's a very real thing. And finding products that work for your skin as you get older is the key to feeling beautiful, right? But this is a prime example of products that you might not have liked in the past, but then they work for you now. So I really, really loved this and I'm so happy that I have it. And I do wish that I could have got better packaging for it, but it's fine. The dragons are kind of cool. I think that's about it, so let me wrap it up. Thank you for hanging out with me. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow. Do all those fun things down below, as said in the previous parts of the video. I would greatly appreciate it. Side note, absolutely hate this like hump in my hair. That's what I keep looking at, and I sincerely apologize. So I'm gonna hop off and hang out with my animals before I have to actually like finish getting ready for work. So with that said, I hope you have a great day, night, whenever you're watching this, and I'm sure I'll see you in another one. So bye!